going to talk about how Dan Bilzerian finally addresses allegations of fraud. Make sure you stay till the end so you don't skip Dan Bilzerian's big answer to ignite fraud. You're going to be totally surprised. Who's Dan Bilzerian? Dan Bilzerian is a poker/businessman. He's also a multimillionaire who's the son of Paul Bilzerian, a popular fraudster. You may have heard of Dan, but it may be for some of the wrong reasons. He has millions of followers on Instagram, where he posts all about his luxurious and highly expensive lifestyle. You'll see expensive wines, models in bikinis, island getaways, yachts, and more. Dan is in no way subtle. When he parties, he makes sure to go all out and spend as much as he can. One downfall to all of this is that he takes that attitude and brings it into business. He has a company called Ignite, which specializes in CBD oils, and as you'll find out later in this video, they get in a lot of trouble for overspending the Bilzerian way. Ignite the company. Ignite is a company founded by Dan Bilzerian. The business specializes in CBD oils, but also sells bottles of water, vodka, and electronic cigarettes. They even started to dabble with clothes. The company itself was founded on the idea of being a premium CBD brand. That idea was envisioned by Dan himself to reflect his own lavish lifestyle. Dan's idea of a good company involves a lot of parties and expensive products. This company reported a loss of $50 million in 2019. That loss started a flurry, or fraud reports, after the details were released to the public. Looking at their website, you can find the key players in the business, the top dog obviously being Bilzerian. One person he tries not to publicly announce is part of the company's brainstorming team is his father. I know, someone as a convicted felon and is known to commit multiple acts of fraud has made his way into a huge and well-known public company. He isn't even legally allowed to be part of a public company. Now let's just see how much trouble Ignite has gotten themselves into. Expenditure claims of Ignite. Ignite has been asked to make some needless purchases, and several claims have massive sale prices. Former Procter & Gamble executive and former Ignite vice president reported that Bilzerian had expenditures that included a $130,340 Bahama photo shoot. These expenses do not make sense because they aren't useful to the company. They may help with marketing the brand, yet there are far cheaper ways to do that. Many believe the spendings are for Dan Bilzerian's own ledger and he just uses the company as an excuse to go out and have parties and photo shoots all the time. There was also an incident involving the Paycheck Protection Program. It was a governmental aid that Dan made the former vice president write down as an income when it clearly wasn't. Dan is also known to spend a lot of money on guns, and some of these guns have the Ignite logo on it. So, are they bought with company money? Would that explain the excessive loss the company experienced in 2019? Former employees have even spoken out about the spending issue. An anonymous employee stated, "Ignite pays for everything. Models, events, yachts. Dan would just have it wrapped with the Ignite logo, and all of a sudden, it was an Ignite expense and he would send the bill. Pools, trampolines, his personal events that had nothing to do with the business." That statement makes it clear that Bilzerian does not have a clear standing on the company's priorities. Dan loves to live a lavish life and he could not help but bring that into Ignite's business. That is definitely not the way to run a business, and it's the reason his company is not doing well. With all of these expenditure claims, it will be hard to take the company seriously and invest in it when your money will most likely be going to parties. Much of Ignite's earnings are through shares that are sold, loans, and investors. That is a lot of opportunity to lose once you're giving it. Dan Bilzerian's response. Dan Bilzerian did not easily take these allegations of fraud. He took to Twitter to say that Uber had never had a successful month. Take a look at the tweet. Uber is worth $80 billion. It has never had a profitable month since it started and lost over $5 billion in one quarter last year. Someone responded to this tweet saying he hopes Ignite doesn't use shareholders' money to rent a $200,000 a month mansion. This user claims that that would be very bad money management. Bilzerian had to respond, and he said, "I know 200,000 is probably a lot like a peasant like you, but I flipped a quarter with a buddy for $6 million. So to recap, he compared his business loss to a huge company like Uber, then went on to flaunt his wealth once challenged. Eric Newcomer in Bloomberg had a response to this comparison. He said it's a routine cost for newly public companies. Though Uber's is much larger due to the company's size, and investors are likely to forgive it as a one-off. It wasn't fair for Dan Bilzerian to compare his company Ignite with a company like Uber, yet he did it to cover up his fault in the Ignite fraud scandal. He could have handled it a little bit better, yet the response was quite fitting for a character like him. The comparison is uncalled for as well, since Uber has yet to be caught spending company money on unnecessary and personal events. Ignite failed to make a decent profit because of its spending habit, which could have been avoided. They could have earned through their products if they were a little more careful with their money. Claims of fraud with Ignite. Ignite got into trouble when it was officially announced that in a single year, 2019, they lost $50 million. That is a huge loss. How could a company lose that much money? Well, the answer is simply because Ignite was irresponsible. They did make a decent amount of money through their products, but what they spent on leisure and recreational activities was too much for them to make a profit. How exactly were they spending the company's money? Well, Bilzerian loved to party, and each Ignite party has tons of expensive alcohols, models, and luxury houses. These parties could easily run millions of dollars in costs. Alongside that, some of Bilzerian's guns, stacks some money, and even models boosted the Ignite logo. So that must mean he was using company money to fuel his lifestyle. One major issue that came into the spotlight recently was the firing of Ignite's vice president. It was stated by Bilzerian that he was incompetent. Once fired, he released a statement to the public, giving the real reason for his release from the company. He stated that Bilzerian was upset when he wouldn't approve of the extreme budgets Ignite had. Some expenses called for items such as a $50,000 ping pong table and a $40,000 rock climbing wall. It was also found that Ignite had been partially paying for some of Bilzerian's personal expenses, such as yacht rentals and trips to London. He even used the money from the company to buy laundry detergent. It soon became obvious that the company's spending was out of control. Additionally, a claim surfaced that stated that Paul Bilzerian, Dan's father, was helping making decisions for the company in meetings. All of these claims in public statements helped put Ignite into a bad light. More issues with Ignite. Ignite is not doing great. Dan Bilzerian had lofty aspirations for the venture, but they failed to deliver properly. After all of the controversies surrounding the company, one of their major distributors, CanMart, cut ties with the company. This distributor was going to help Ignite in the Canadian market, but since the fraud allegations, this is no longer a possibility. Another issue the company is struggling with is leadership. This is obvious in the way it is run. Dan is the face of the company, yet they have changed leaders multiple times, and none of this was to their advantage. Jean Scheffer was recently appointed as the Chief Operating Officer. He was previously Vice President of MidMen, another cannabis-related company. He currently holds the leadership position of the company, but that says a lot about him since 2019 was a bad year for Ignite. Some have even claimed that Dan Bilzerian is just a puppet being pulled by his father, Paul Bilzerian. This fraudster has committed crimes such as parking stock in someone else's name, not making timely disclosures, and misstating sources of his funds. These acts have landed him 13 months behind bars. He's not allowed to run public company, yet he may be helping Dan run Ignite. If that is the case, then Ignite is truly built upon fraud. And with that, we see just how a company can be run into the ground if not properly taken care of. While you're here, go ahead and click one of these videos on your screen and see you there.